Imagine you are the head of a company called Singapore, a company with 5.6 million employees, and every 5 years or so, there are applicants applying to help run your company.
Well, on your desk are 4 resumes from 4 of the most prominent applicants:
PAP, WP, SDP, and PSP. I hear they have lots of ideas on how to manage your people. The resumes are really long, and you can only choose one of them. So let's narrow it down to 4 key issues as we revise each resume. The issues are COVID-19, jobs, their plans for the middle class, and support for the elderly. Let us begin with the PAP. Since COVID-19 is not going away anytime soon, it's important to see what plans they have. The PAP wants to ramp up COVID-19 testing and tracing capabilities and invest in R&D for treatments and vaccines. They highlighted the free inpatient COVID-19 treatment at hospitals and also the allocation of $20 billion to the Ministry of Health in the recent budgets. On migrant workers, PAP promises to complete health clearance, enabling them to return safely to work and build additional housing with improved standards. To mitigate the economic fallout, PAP introduced several schemes such as the Job Support Scheme, Self-Employed Person Income Scheme, the Temporary Relief Scheme, and the COVID-19 Support Grant. They also promised to create 100,000 new job opportunities under the GE2020 Jobs and Skills Program. Moving on to WP, they plan on tackling the crisis by making vaccinations free to all residents, expanding testings to include asymptomatic people, and aid foreign workers by creating a dedicated statutory board to set and enforce standards of work and living conditions. WP aims at staying transparent throughout the crisis with your people, forming an independent medical advisory board that enables public and private recommendations to the government's medical team, channel financial support through a stored value account for each citizen that is viewable by anyone to see the amount of help received, make any potential finding public for anyone's input, and make trace together code and open source, gathering only necessary data for contact tracing. WP also has plans for the economy, to forgive HDB rent, to set repayment of government loans only when businesses are back to profitability, invest in workers and companies to reduce reliance on reserves, as well as several other schemes. Next up is SDP. The SDP has yet to unveil their plans on handling the COVID-19 pandemic. Same goes to the PSP, as at the moment they have yet to present any specifics beside their intention to have
bolder economic stimuli and stronger support for SMEs.
Now we move on to one word we've been hearing a lot recently: jobs. On jobs, the PAP has many plans for your working people. For the older folks, they offer programs and credits that are designed to help them at work or even find new employment. While the younger folks also have opportunities for training locally and even overseas. There's also support for workers with disabilities and lower wage workers. On the subject of jobs, WP aims to build a dynamic local workforce. Some policies they're proposing include a national minimum wage of $1,300, to abolish the retirement age so anyone can work as long as they're able to, and to address the gender wage gap. There will be a requirement for employers with 10 or more employees to report to MOM.
When it comes to jobs, SDP's policy stance has always been to ensure that employers employ Singaporeans first. Their campaign for this election emphasizes that benefits be paid to workers retrenched due to COVID-19 under the SDP Restart program.
The PSP's focus on jobs revolves around having stronger support for SMEs. This includes prioritizing jobs for Singaporeans,
introduce quota for employment pass, lower quota for S-Pass and work permit, and review free trade agreements like CECA.
Moving on to the plans for the middle class, the PAP are suggesting an increase in GST from 7 to 9% to fund healthcare for the elderly. They plan to expand the healthcare system and will offer payouts to offset this increase. Besides that, they are proposing financial support through subsidies and grants for things like housing, education, transport, and healthcare. Also, the PAP wants to raise awareness and promote inclusivity of children with special education needs, opening new schools, and increasing work and care options for them. For plans for the middle class, WP aims to both lower the cost of living and reform housing. The former will be done by saying no to the GST hike, making medicine more affordable, equalizing state benefits and housing options for single parents, as well as equalizing childcare subsidies for all women. Whilst the latter will be done by allowing BTO flats for singles at 28 and abolishing the ethnic quota governing citizens' home ownership. Touching on the middle class,
SDP's election campaign focuses on helping Singaporeans cope with the COVID-19 crisis by suspending GST until the end of 2021. They also oppose the increase of GST to 9%, and their policy stance has always been focused on affordable living, with proposals such as cutting ministerial pay to fund assistance schemes for the poor and removing the land cost component of HDB to lower its cost.
And we have PSP's proposal for the middle class, which narrows down to housing and taxes and fees. For housing, PSP plans on redeveloping old flats, have new flat prices for income levels, and bring down the housing costs for young Singaporeans. As for taxes and fees, any increase will be frozen within the next 5 years, whilst exempting basic necessities from GST. And lastly, we look at the support for the elderly. The PAP intends for your people to retire comfortably by offering financial support through various packages, funds and schemes. They intend to provide a network of support such as community network for seniors and also free entry to public gyms and pools. When it comes to supporting the elderly, WP has lined up several social policy proposals. They include a proposal to lower CPF payout eligibility to 60 years old, widening the use of Medisave for those over 60, a proposal to relax the rules on the transfer of CPF funds, along with many more schemes.
To support the elderly, the SDP has proposed to provide the bottom 80% of retirees over 65 with a monthly income of $500 under the SDP Retirement Income Scheme for the elderly.
Last but definitely not least, PSP's plans to aid the elderly include CPF withdrawal, enabling your people to withdraw from up to $50,000 at the age of 55, as well as to have Medishield Life Premium to be paid by the government. Now, before deciding who we should hire, I'm sure you have lots of things to think through and consider, so revise their resumes, sleep on it, and on July 10th, the decision lies with you, so vote wisely.